Om. Om. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamatsyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hello everybody. I was having some internet issues, so that's why I joined on my iPad. Then I left, and anyway, all is well now. Last time we saw from verse 23 onwards, where Bhagwan gives the greatest definition of what kind of definition of how to not be miserable. And what he says is disassociation from sorrow is yoga. That is the yoga. That is the means to join to the higher. So you disassociate yourself. Like I told you, the sorrow is felt in the mind. What is meant by dissociation from sorrow is to disassociate ourselves from the mind, telling ourselves that we are not the mind. What is being felt, whatever it is, it may be joy, it may be sorrow also, but sorrow is more agitating. So we are not the mind. That is what it is. And I give you the example of the painkillers, which is actually not taking the pain away. So the sorrow is not going away, but you have disassociated. The nerves that are carrying that sensation to the brain have been now numbed. And that is your disassociation from pain, though the pain never went away. So the whatever is happening outside, that miserable situation, that will not go away. That will not go away. But whether you want to be miserable because of that or not is a choice that we all have. Okay. And this Anirvinna Chetasa, while I was reading my Vishnu Sahasranam, this one of the names of Bhagwan Vishnu is Anirvinnaha. Anirvinnaha. So I found it quite interesting. My attention was drawn to it. And the meaning that is given here is one who feels no disappointments. Okay, who has no chance to feel disappointment as he is ever totally fulfilled. The agonizing disgust with things that comes to a bosom when a burning desire is unfulfilled is called nirveda. One who has no nirveda is called anirvinnaha, he being ever full and perfect, has no desires yet unfulfilled or something yet to be fulfilled in the future. Bhagwan declares this in Gita. There is neither anything that I have not gained nor anything I have yet to gain. Okay, so one who does not feel disappointment, who will feel disappointment is one who has an appointment with the future. Only when you have an appointment, disappointment. If you don't have any appointment, whatever comes, I will accept. Maybe it is joy, maybe it is sorrow, maybe it is pain, maybe it is pleasure, whatever it is. I have no appointments. I am free. Then you become Anirvana Chetasa. And that is one of the names of Bhagwan Vishnu. Okay, so which is the highest. And for determination, I have a little story here, which I don't think I mentioned last time. So it is said that there was a bird who laid its eggs on the beach and she went for something away, but the ocean came and swallowed the eggs. So when the mother bird came, she realized that the ocean had swallowed the birds, the eggs, and she said to the ocean, "Give me my eggs back. They are my babies." And the ocean refused. So she was so furious. She said, "I will empty you out to find my eggs." So drop by drop, she started emptying the ocean. One drop, she would bring and put it on the beach. Seeing her determination, other birds joined her. And then it is said that Narad Muni was going along the beach. He thought, what are all these birds doing? And they were all going, just one drop in the beak and then bringing back the water. So he asked, what is going on? What do you do? So the mother bird said, ocean has swallowed my eggs. I will not let go until I get my eggs back. Then Narad Bhagwan invited Garud. He invited Garud. When Garud Bhagwan came, the ocean only got scared. And ocean came up with the eggs. The idea is that sort of determination we must have to stay on this path, to stay on the path of meditation, to stay on the spiritual path. It is very difficult. Okay. Trust me, believe me, I know. So that is why it is said with yoga, with mind steady and undespairing. Because we feel despair, I've done so much, I'm doing so much, and yet I don't see any results. You will see results, no external results, okay? No external results are promised. Internally, the peace, the equipoise, that is what you should be looking at. What is happening? How was I? This same situation happened to me 10 years ago or before I was into this. And now this similar situation is happening now. What was my reaction at that time? What is my response at this time? And if that has improved, then know that you have spiritually grown. Okay. And that is all in our hands is trying. Trying is in our hands. Success, result, everything is dependent on Ishwara. Ishwara will give, not Brahman, Ishwara, okay? Because Ishwara is karma phaladata. So what will help is Sankalpa Prabhavan Kaman Tyaktva. So what will happen, help in the seat of meditation to not only in the seat, I told you last time, not only in the seat of meditation, in your day-to-day life, every day as you're going through life, as long as you avoid these desires which are born out of Sankalpa, Samyak Kalpana, fanciful imagination that there is a happiness lying in that, as long as you keep those under control, curtail those, avoid those, do not have those. And these do not include desires like hunger, thirst, shelter is there, clothes we need whatever is needed is not Sankalpa Prabhavan. It is not, but something, other desires that we have, if we can curtail it, the mind will become peaceful. Not only in the seat of meditation, but throughout the day also we need peace. Not like constantly mind is gurgling with desires. It is going to this. Sarvan asheshataha. So ultimate is no remaining desires at all. And then when all these, the village of group, Gramam is literally village, but the group of these senses, so all these senses, because desires are coming through everything. Taste desire is there, seeing desire is there, hearing desire, all desires are coming from all five. If we are to intake, we take in. So then when they become sama, equipoised, sama is equipoised, then slowly, shanai, there's a warning here. Bhagwan warns, don't try to do all of a sudden, because if you do all of a sudden and you're not prepared for it, it's not going to happen. So slowly, understanding, with the understanding, see, vairagya, this is what we're talking about is vairagya, dispassion. It has to come with understanding. Then only it will stay. Otherwise, it won't stay. Suddenly something happens in my life, a sad thing, and then suddenly I become very dispassionate towards everything. Over time, that dispassion will go away. So that's why shanai, understand, slowly understand, and then withdraw from these desires. Buddhya dhriti grahitaya. The mind should be held at one place in the seat of, this is all in the seat of meditation. Huh? So in the seat of meditation, the mind with dhriti, perseverance, determination, patience should be held at one place. Even for those who are younger, those who are working, throughout the day also, when you're working on a project, when you're working, at work, keep the mind there. That time, don't think of meditation. What will I think of in meditation? Don't think like that. Where the work is, where the hands are, keep the mind there. That's what Gurudev said. Keep your mind where your hands are. So throughout the day, whatever that type of work that you are doing, because meditation is not you're just going to sit in meditation 24 hours. So throughout the day, keep that mind at that place where the hands have to work with dhriti, with perseverance, with patience. Atma Saustham Mana Krutva. Then, in the seat, because this is specific to meditation, in the seat of meditation, put that mind in Atma. Aham Brahmasmi is the only thought. Na kinchidapi chintayat. Do not think of anything else. Do not worry about anything else. And yato nischarati manas chanchalam astir. Chanchala and astira. Chanchala means the mind jumps from one topic to a totally different topic. So if I were to give you the example of the monkey is jumping from one tree to a different tree, is chanchala. And asthira is where the monkey is only on that one tree, but jumping from branch to branch. So there's a difference. There's a subtle difference between these two words. So when the mind is jumping from one topic to totally a different topic, that is chanchala, fickle. And unsteady is the topic is the same, but you're not able to keep the mind at one spot. It is wavering within there. That should not happen. Yato, whenever, nischarati, charati, moving around. It is nischarati means where the mind is not affected by the absence or presence of thoughts inside and absence of presence of things outside. Now, in the seat of meditation, because we have closed our eyes, that is the idea that you're in solitude. The outside is not making that much. I mean, if there is a sound and again now your mind starts saying, oh, what happened there, this, that should not be allowed. So nischarati means it is not wavering because of some thought. Oh, I'm sitting in seat of meditation, how come this thought came to me? It shouldn't be like that. Okay. Tato, yato and tato. So whenever, for whatever you bring it, for that much time, it will be restrained. Let him restrain the mind. So let not the mind wander, and let the yogi, the meditator, restrain that mind and keep it at one place. Place here is not space outside, place in the mind itself. And that's why Bhagavan, physical, what he says is steady body, eyes closed, and focus on this spot here, inside, within, not with open eyes, open. So body, you're focused, trying to focus, and then that will help the mind focus as well. Okay, so we were on Prashanta Manasam. We have read this verse 27. Prashanta, I told you, which is beyond Shanta and Ashanti. Shanti and Ashanti is Prashanti, Prakarsha and Ashanti. So Prashanta is basically where all the desires have been subdued. Sarvana Asheshataha, we saw, right? All desires born out of Sankalpa have now been calmed down. This is the higher states of meditation. It is not possible for us who are just beginning on this path, but this description is given because now Bhagwan has told Arjun all the first 5 chapters. Then what happens? Prashanta Manasam Yenam, by that Yoginam Sukham Uttamam. Because this also Atyantika Sukha I explained to you earlier on. This Uttama Sukha, Atyantika Sukha is one and the same. Uttama is, see, we have good, better, best. We have these 3 words in English language, right? Good, better. Better is better than good, and best is better than better. So good, better, best. In this Uttama, Uttara and Uttama is in Sanskrit. So there is a sleep which Sattva, Rajas and Tamas basically in gunas. I told you Atyantika Sukha. So one is Rajasic is where it is based on objects. When I get this object, this food, when I get this movie, to see this movie, to hear this music, I become happy. So that is known as Vishayananda. Vishaya is objects. Vishaya in Sanskrit, in Hindi and Marathi, Vishaya means subject, physics and chemistry, but Vishaya in Sanskrit is object. So that happiness, which is dependent on an object, any object, it could be any object, color, form, all the 5 objects in there. That is what is called as Vishaya. This is Swami Vidyaranya's terminology. Vishayananda, he calls it in his Panchadashi chapters. And he says that is a dependent happiness because that object can go away. It is finite. So even if that object gives you the pleasure, we don't even call that happiness in Vedantic language. It is pleasure that you're getting. It is finite. So what is finite? That will end. It'll end. And it is our own experience. When we were small, maybe we liked dolls, maybe we liked marbles. Do we like dolls and marbles now when we grow up? So that thing that gave me happiness at that time, and I maybe even fought with my siblings, these are my marbles, this is my doll, why did you touch it, this, will we do it now? That is our experience only. You don't need spiritual masters to tell you this. If you think of your own experience, the idea of studying scriptures is to learn to think in a particular way. See, we never thought like this. Now scriptures are telling us this atyantaka sukha. What is that? Then the master will say, there was that object, in your childhood, you had a favorite doll, you had a favorite whatever, blanket, a favorite pillow. Is the same thing now, right now in your life? No, it is not, right? You don't even think of it anymore. So that is why this Vishaya Ananda. Then there is Ananda from sleep. I get a good night's sleep, I'm happy. Tamas. That is tamas. Then there is Satvik Sukha also, which is from reading. When I have this solitude, I told you, silence, quiet, when there's not too much noise, then I get to read my books, and then I'm very happy. That is Satvik Sukha. That is what, or Guruji once told me, I said, how do we get out of Satvik Sukha? That is the problem now. From Tamas to Rajas to Sattva, we have moved. Then Guruji himself was listening to bhajans at that time in Toronto. He said, this is also Satvik Sukha only. Because he loves to, Swami Tejavanji loves to listen to bhajans. So he was listening. So I said, Swamiji, how to get out of this? So, right. So, it means going beyond this Sukham Uttamam is bliss. It is going beyond that Satvik Sukha as well. So to go beyond Satvik Sukha, you need to reach Satvik Sukha. You can't go from Tamasic or Rajasic into, Sukham Uttamam. You can't. Okay. So when this mind becomes Prashanta, Prakarshena Shanta, when all the desires are calmed down, Upaiti Shanta Rajasam, what is happening is this Rajas has been now quietened. The desires that arise in our mind when we go to chapter 14, and the gunas, most of you have heard about the gunas. There are 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Rajas is the one represented by the color red. Sattva is white, rajas is red, and tamas is black. This rajas is what is giving rise to activity. When I think, what should I do next? What should I do next? What is next? And I get restless if there's nothing to do. I get, oh my God, the walls are closing in on me. I need to go out. I need to have some breath of fresh air. When all those types of feelings that are coming, they are born out of rajas. And what is happening with this yogi is, because his mind has become very, very calm, that rajas has been quietened down. That's all there is. The rajas has to be kept under control. The percentage will always be there, a percentage of rajas. What percentage it is in our control. We always have a choice. That should never be forgotten. That's a very important point. As a human being, a choice. We can never say, oh, I had no choice and I did this. No, that is the push of the vasanas. When you do things and you say that, oh, I had no choice, but I had to react. I had to, then know that the vasanas are pushing you. So always there is a choice. There is a choice of, even Bhagwan Shri Krishna ran away from the, that's why one of his names is Ranchod Das. Bhagwan himself ran away from the battlefield. Why? Because he thought this is, he was Bhagwan. He could have stood there and did whatever, right? But Ranchod Das name he got because he ran his battlefield. Chod means he left and ran away. Literally, that is there. So if Bhagavan can do that, we also can withdraw from a situation, which is now we know this is now going to explode. Withdraw, withdraw. So this rajas for this yogi, of course, I'm just giving you these other this thing. Rajas, Brahma Bhuta Kalmasham. So this his he becomes Brahman. Bhuta is to be Bhu Dhatu is to become. So Brahma he becomes Brahman and Akalbasham. So this Kalmasha is impurities. And this impurities, in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he gives these 5 types of kalmashas or kleshas that we have. The first one being avidya, asmita, abhinivesh, raga, and dvesha. Some of you are new, quite a few of you haven't heard this before because they are the same 5 kleshas that all of us have. The first one is avidya, which is ignorance of our own true self. That is the original one. That is the original impurity. And because of that avidya, what happens is avidya, asmita comes. What is asmita? Asmita is this I-ness. I am so and so. I am this. I am that. That asmita is that I notion, which is ego, which is the ego. Okay, and that ego is the culprit. Ego feels hurt. Ego feels happy. Ego thinks I did this. Ego thinks I should have done that. Why did I not do that? All these are coming from the ego. So avidya gives rise to asmita, and asmita gives rise to identification. Abhinivesh is identification with the not self. So when I consider myself to be the body, mind, and intellect, it is abhinivesh. It is an impurity. And this impurity then, identification with the body, mind, and intellect gives rise to raga and dvesha. Raga, attachment or like, dvesha, hatred or dislike. So likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes themselves are an impurity. That is why karma yoga has been prescribed in chapter 3, just to get rid of those likes and dislikes. Okay, so what happens is Brahma Bhutam, when he becomes a Kalbasham. When he attains, when he realizes himself to be Brahman, there is none. What happens is that minute he realizes himself to be Brahman, what goes away is avidya. Avidya, what is avidya? What is ignorance? That I am Brahman, I don't know that. Avidya is thinking I am body, mind, intellect. So when I realize myself to be Brahman, that avidya goes away. So when the root goes away, all these other sprouts which are there from this avidya, which is asmita, abhinivesh, raga, and dvesha, how can they survive? It's if you have plants, if you cut the roots of the plant, will that plant survive on top? It can't. And that's why what happens is when this rajas is quietened down, and in our day-to-day life also, if we develop more sattva, we are closer to the core of our personality. Remember that, the layers, the panchakoshas. Now I don't know how many, most of you should know panchakoshas, right? Annamaya kosha, but some of them are looking at me with puzzled eyes. That's the problem with the mixed class. So the Panchakosha, it is said that the core of our personality is Atman or Brahman. And then we have these layers we have. So the outermost layer is Annamaya Kosha, which is the body sheath. Do you have the chart handy? Can you just show everybody, please? Thank you. So we have these 5 koshas. So the first one is Annamaya Kosha. The second one is the Pranamaya Kosha. Then there is the Manomaya Kosha. Then there is the Vijnanamaya Kosha. And then there is the Vasanas. And in that, there we go. Fantastic. Thank you. So the 5, so this Annamaya Kosha, physical sheath, is the body that everybody can see. There is Pranamaya, which is the pranas, which we can feel, right? We know the breath is going on. Then there is the Manomaya, which is even inside, which is the mental sheath, with Jnanamaya, and then Anandamaya Kosha, which is the Vasana layer. So these are these koshas. The more sattvic you make your mind, the mind, body and pranas, see, body is tamas, okay? Understand. body, this physical body has come from the tamasic aspect of the elements. It will always remain tamasic. You cannot make the body sattvic. All right, forget that. Pranamaya kosha, pranas have come from the rajasic aspect of the elements. That's why this even tattva bodh, atma bodh, and vivek churamani is required for all this. So anyway, pranamaya kosha is rajasic. That's why the pranas are they're controlling the physiological functions within the body. Pranas are always active. Prana is the one that is active 24/7. Even when we sleep, breathing is going on, digestion is going on, circulation is going on. That is all controlled by the pranas. So they are rajas. They also cannot become sattva, because if they become sattva and they say, oh, I want knowledge, I don't want to do any work, we are dead. If the prana say, I'm not going to digest the food that you ate, if the prana say, I'm not going to be breathing, I don't want to do all this, I want to become sattvic and I want to study Vedanta, then finish. We are finished. So pranamaya kosha also we cannot do anything. So leave it alone. Manomaya kosha is the one. This manomaya kosha has got sattva, rajas, and tamas. All three are there. That is only tamas. Annamaya is only tamas. Pranamaya is only rajas. Manomaya is all three. Now, the intellect, wisdom sheath, that's why it's the wisdom, Vijnanamaya kosha, that we should have the wisdom that I have all three. I am a human being. I have a choice. Now, which am I going to nurture and increase, and which I'm going to decrease? And what needs to be increased is sattva. And this rajas has to be quietened down. The more sattva you infuse in the mind, or how do you increase sattva? By reducing rajas. Okay, by karma yoga. Chapter 3. Karma yoga will increase sattva. So when that sattva increases, then we go more and more towards the core of our personality. As long as we are on the periphery, we are rajasic, and tamasic people will be on the periphery of the personality. We need to go inside. All right. So this Shanta, okay, we can go back. So Upayati Shanta Rajasam, what happens is, with this rajas being quietened, the more and more rajas is quietened. In even day-to-day life, we should know this, because this level of meditation we can't go. That's why I'm telling you. So when this rajas is quietened, what is happening is realizing Brahman is far away, but at least we are going to the core of our personality. At least these impurities are reducing, not gone. They will completely go away. With this Brahma Bhut, when I become Brahman, means when I realize myself to be Brahman, all impurities will be washed off totally at that very moment. But now what can I do about it? Because I can't realize Brahman just sitting in the seat of meditation just one fine day. So then what I do is I keep purifying my mind, and I go to the core of my personality. Now, what is the manifestation that I'm closer to the core? How do I tell? I might say this is self-analysis. Huh? This is, you don't look at other people, and no, they don't look at other people. Look at your own self. The telling thing about this going towards the core is immediate decision making and correct decisions. There should not be a decision where later, oh my God, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Why did I then you have made a decision from the standpoint of the periphery of the personality. If that decision is made from the core, from within the core, from the self, from the standpoint of the self, it will never create any regret in your mind. The very common example that I give is, people smoke and then they get lung cancer. Okay. So a person who doesn't smoke also can get lung cancer. It's not like it. But at least what that person can say, okay, it's nothing that I did. Right? I brought it maybe from my past life or whatever, but I know that in this life, I didn't do anything to trigger this type of a disease. So this is the practical aspect of this, okay? But this is the highest. Bhagavan is saying here that the yogi who is practicing meditation, who has purified his mind completely, now he's sitting in the seat of meditation. What happens? He gets this sukham uttamam, the infinite bliss, which is never ending, which is the supreme, which never fades, which never goes away, which doesn't shake him in the even the highest of sorrows, that the biggest of sorrows that come to him, he doesn't shake. All that description he has given, because his rajas has been completely quietened. He has realized himself to be Brahman, and now he's completely a kalbasham, without any impurities. All right. Now, yunjanne neva sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha sukhena brahma sausparsham atyantam sukhamashnute. The yogi, always engaging the mind thus in the practice of yoga, freed from sins, easily enjoys the infinite bliss of Brahman contact. Now, the word thus, evam, the load of that word evam is verse 7 to verse 27. All that Bhagavan started from that, like whatever instructions he gave, that is it. Thus, when we practice, means what? First we quieten our mind, then we become yoga rudha, then we sit in the seat of meditation, then asan siddhi, mental this, all those instructions that have been given. Thus, this is a conclusion now. Thus, so all that this yogi has done, Sada Yunjan, in the seat of meditation, Yunjan, Yuj, Jatu, to joy. In the seat of meditation, this yogi is Sada. Sada is always is joined to that thought, Aham Brahmasmi. Okay. In practical life, for us, we are not sitting in the seat of meditation, contemplating on the self throughout the day. Now, how do I do that? I've got work, I've got a job, man. Are you telling me just to leave my job and think of the self? Okay. So those who have heard Adhyatma Nitya, some of you have heard Adhyatma Nitya, to see the presence of God in and presence through what is happening around us throughout the day is Sada Yunjanam Evam. That also is there. So means what? Means seeing the presence means what? Good things come. Yes, this came because of the Lord. Thank you. That much we can do. Project, you're working on a project, you're very successful, you did the best in your department or company or whatever. Yes, thank you. Not I did it. What? Not that. Okay. Other thing, from knowledge point of, from Vedantic standpoint, keep your mind where your hands are, means remaining in the present at every moment is remaining in the presence. Knowledge, Vedanta. Bhakti standpoint, think of your Ishta Devata, everything. You see the book, oh, that's my Krishna. You see the phone, that's my Krishna. Somebody came to talk to you, that's my Krishna. Somebody said hurtful thing, no, that's my Krishna. Krishna said hurtful things to me. It's okay. Bhakti standpoint, bhakti. Whichever standpoint you think you are at, you apply that. But here in this particular context of this chapter, which is on meditation, Sada Yunjan Evam, in the seat of meditation, when the yogi is able to keep his mind joined to Brahman all the time, Sada, yogi, he becomes Vigata, Visheshena. Vigata is without. He becomes absolutely sinless. What is the original sin? Considering myself to be the body is the sin, original sin. Now he has recognized himself to be that supreme self. That original sin only has disappeared. All other sins are, see, all delusions follow because of this first delusion, I'm the body. That's why this is my child. That's why this is my house. That's why this is my property, my investment, my friend, my enemy. Everything is coming from this first notion that I am the body. This is what happened to Arjun in the first chapter. So that itself, when it's gone, like I said, the root of the tree you destroy, you cut the root of the tree, you think the tree is going to survive. It's not. That is why this Sada Atmanam, it's Yunjan Neva Sada Atmanam, Atmanam Brahman. When he keeps his mind there in the seat of meditation, thus following all those instructions, then he becomes free of sin. So then what happens? It becomes free. Now this sukhena here in the next line, first word, is easily. Sukha here is not happiness. You know, some things come easily to us, right? People who are expert in cooking, you know, they just fling things into the pot, and then there's a people like me have to like 10 times I look at the recipe book. My God, how many teaspoons, how many so this sukhena means easily, easily, very easily they can. When you can keep the mind there for long periods of time, which is samadhi, it comes very easily. Sukhena Brahma Samsparsha. Now, contact with Brahman should also be understood correctly. Contact doesn't mean that he gets to touch Brahman. There's nothing like that. He becomes Brahman himself. Not even he becomes, sorry, even that is a wrong term. He recognizes himself. The ego itself recognizes itself to be Brahman, to be the original consciousness. And those who are studying Monday class, it's not the reflection. But that's a bit beyond here. So he recognizes himself. And then what happens? Atyantam sukham ashnute. Ashnute he gets. Atyantika sukha. I've explained this many, many times. Understand the meaning of atyantika sukha. We think that I became very happy when I got married, when I got my job, when I got my degree. I was very, very happy. What you have to think is that whenever my child was born, do you feel that same intensity of happiness today? That part you have to think. This atyantikam sukham, that intensity of sukha will not reduce no matter what. In one of the chapters of Panchadashi, that's why I'm telling you, to go into Panchadashi is sixth chapter, I think. 50 verses. I'm not kidding, okay? This is Swami Vidyaranya, 50 verses only on this Atyantik Sukha. He's describing it that much. Why? This is the highest, most important to put into our heads, the student's head, how big this, how great this thing is. Why you should study Vedanta. That 50 word, my God, you know, we had to literally persevere through that when Swamiji was 50 verses in the chapter. The whole chapter is like 279 verses. Over 200 verses explanation, and last 50 the result. 50 verses. And what is the result? Atyantik Sukham. That's it. Nothing. No other result. Not that my child will get this, nothing. Taittiriya Upanishad also describes this Sukha in a different way. Taittiriya Upanishad says that consider that you are the Lord of the universe. Okay, Lord of the universe means what? Means the entire, not like Hitler got only parts of Europe, not like that. The whole earth you got, that to not like Hitler. With love, you know, you are the king of the entire universe. Okay. No, you have excellent health. Okay, it means your body is absolutely, maybe I'm ugly. No, you are the most handsome, most beautiful in the world. You are the king of the world. Everybody loves you. Nobody on this universe hates you. Everybody loves you. Okay, now you are handsome. All your family is great, and everything. Absolutely. Now, what happiness will you feel? Okay, so Taittiriya says, consider that to be 1 unit of happiness. Imagine what do we have? Okay, but suppose. So this whole thing, when he will have 1 unit of happiness. But if he goes to Swarga Loka, then he will have 100 units. Okay, and Taittiriya Upanishad goes up and up. So it goes, as you go to Gandharva Loka, as to go to a higher Loka, every time it increases 100-fold. Now imagine even that 1 unit is how great. Full universe under your control. You are healthy, you are handsome, you are rich, everybody loves you also. So that also is not that somebody hates you, somebody's trying to kill you, nothing like that. It goes up to Brahma Loka, and then it goes up to like 1,000 times or whatever. And then from Brahma Loka, he jumps into moksha. Taittiriya Upanishad, Shruti jumps into moksha. Moksha is like not 100 times, millions of times more than that. The sukha that moksha gives is millions of times greater than that. That is a measurement of happiness that Upanishad gives, Taittiriya Upanishad. That is what this sukham ashnute is. Atyantikam sukham is. So this is through meditation. All right. Now what happens? What is the result of that meditation? Is now Bhagwan is telling in 29.
I have a question, Joji.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. Kalmashaha, Vigata Kalmashaha. In this particular verse, what Kalmasha is Bhagavan referring to? At the highest level of myself thinking I'm not Brahman? Is that the sin, ultimate sin that he's referring to?
Yeah, the ultimate sin is that I am the body. That the Kalmasha is same. Avidya, Asmita, Abhinivesh, Ragadvesha. So those he is freed from. Okay, there are some other lower kalmashas that I have listed here, which I can tell you, but that is the highest. What is the highest? Thinking that I am the body is the highest avidya. That is the highest impurity. But there is vyadhi. Vyadhi means disease of the body. See, in chapter 2 also, Bhagavan said that one who reaches this moksha, he becomes disease free. Anamaya word is used there. He becomes anamayam. What is anamayam? Anamayam is disease free. How does he become disease free? Does it mean that physically the disease is not coming to him? That can't be the meaning, because we know that Ramakrishna Paramahansa had cancer, and Gurudev had heart. So not physically, but because he's disassociated from the body, he has reached that Vishnu Pad. In chapter 2, there is the verse. He reaches this Vishnu Pada. There, moksha is called as Vishnu Pada. Once you reach that moksha, you have dissociated yourself from the body. You become disease free, because there is no disease in moksha. Because why there is no disease? There is no body. Disease is only coming to the body. It's the same like dukkha viyoga, right? You dissociate from the mind, you cannot be sorrowful. Those type of, then there is disinterest in yoga. These are lower, but obviously these ones don't matter as much. I didn't list them because he's reached the highest. That means he was not disinterested. Then there is some doubt is there. But this yogi has done all that now, because here he is giving a conclusion. Yunjan eva sadatmanam, right? Thus, so the conclusion, therefore, this sansha is there, alasya, laziness is there. But all these are in the beginning stages. He has overcome all those. He has done the meditation. He has reached that moksha, that higher state. Now so the greatest kalmasha here again is avidya only. That avidya has now been taken care of. He becomes yogi vigata kalmashaha, and then easily he attains Brahman. It's like, it's what do they say? It's like a vicious, how we say vicious. So he becomes. The good example is you cannot get moksha without grace. I will wait for grace to come. Right? So if you just wait for grace to come, is it ever going to come? It's not. So you have to put in effort, and then grace will come. So first you have to make yourself sinless. Practice becoming sinless. And what is sin here? Not doing any bad actions. Just to dissociate yourself from the matter equipments. That you try first. Sit in the seat of meditation. By dissociating yourself from the matter equipments, mind will get quietened. Then sit in the seat of meditation. Then you keep your mind at one place, which it'll help you. It'll help when you dissociate from the body, from the matter equipments. It'll help you keep the mind at that one place. Then you recognize yourself to be Brahman, and then all the sins will get washed away. It's like a whole circle. Is that clear, Nitya? Okay. Yeah, but don't say that. This should not be understood like, when I realize Brahman, all my sins will go away. Right now, let me keep sinning. That will never take you to Brahman. Okay. Anybody else has any questions? Okay, because there are people who have joined just in this chapter. That's why I'm explaining something in the practical life, how we can use it. Because the question will arise, but I don't do meditation, or I cannot sit in meditation, or I'm not ready for meditation. But you can use this instead. That's why I told you Yukta Ahar Vihar also, not for this meditation part, your whole health. Yukta Ahar Vihar is good, no? Moderation in intake, moderation in output. Moderation is the key. So that way. Now, when this yogi has now recognized himself to be Brahman, now what happens? Sarvabhutasthamaatmanam sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. With the mind harmonized by yoga, he sees the self abiding in all beings and all beings in the self. He sees the same everywhere. Now, mind harmonized by yoga means his mind has now recognized itself to be Brahman. Okay, yoga here is dhyana yoga. Harmonized, what is harmony? He recognizes himself to be, that's what we saw. Then what happens? Like, of course, he gets this atyantikam sukham. Okay, correct. He got that, but he has to live in this world. Again, they have a choice. Realized masters, sometimes they will leave the world and they will go away. Raman Maharshi went away, sat in a cave. Tapon Maharaj went to the mountains, sat in the mountains only. And then Gurudev and Swami Vivekananda traveled the globe and gave out the thing. Shruti Shastra gives them that permission. That is now given to them. You have recognized yourself to be Brahman. You have got moksha. You will never come back into this world. You will never get birth again. But this birth has to continue. How it is you want it to continue is your choice. You want to leave everything. There are so many realized masters that we don't even know. They've just gone there in the, if you read Wanderings in the Himalayas, if you read books like that, Gurudev also has written a book, and then he traveled, he has traveled there, and how many Mahatmas he has described, standing on one leg, sitting in the cave. They're not interested only in the world, because they've come to know the world is a dream. Why should I go bother and try to get these? They did, but Shastra gives them permission. It is not a selfish thing. It is not a selfish thing, okay? Shastra sanction is there. You do whatever that you want. It's like, I'll tell you, when your child becomes of mature age, don't you sort of, you say, okay, you can have the key to the house. You can come home. You can warm up the food in the microwave. If the child is even older, you can even start the range and do it. As the child matures, you give more and more freedom to that child. Before 12, you will not, unless he's reached the age of 12, you won't give the key to the house to him. You will make sure that somebody is in the house, or he goes to daycare or whatever, right? So that way, as we mature, Shastra gives us more and more freedom. Maturity brings freedom. When I know that I will not misuse that freedom, or my child or any person will not misuse that freedom, I tend to give more freedom. So Shastra, that's why the do's and don'ts are there in Shastra. They are for us who have not realized yet. Okay, that's why the do's and don'ts are there. They have to be followed to come to a stage of maturity where then Shastra says, it's up to you. You want to do. And this is the final state of maturity, is recognition of our own self to be Brahman. There's nothing more mature than that. So when the person yogi reaches that stage, Shastra gives him complete freedom. Complete. You do whatever, because I know that this freedom that you have, you are not going to misuse even a wee bit. We may commit infractions, but a realized master will never. So he gets that freedom. Then he can choose. I want to go out and teach. I want to sit in a cave and not teach. I don't want to talk to anybody. I will go on talking. Any kind of freedom is then given. Nobody goes on talking, but I'm just telling you. I will cook myself and eat. I will not cook and eat. I will go for bhiksha. I will not go for bhiksha. Ramdas Swami. And for bhiksha, okay, no problem. No problem. That freedom is only there once you realize. Otherwise, we don't have that freedom. We should not take that freedom, because we can do wrong. We are still in the realm of body, in mind, intellect. Wrong things can happen. So that's why we must be careful. So, mind harmonized by yoga means a mind which has now recognized itself to be Brahman. Then what happens is he sees, this is the main thing, the self in me is the self in all. He starts seeing that Atma. Why? Why does he start seeing? Because that is the fact. The fact of the matter is that consciousness is in every being. Every being. And I've given this example many times. I'm going to give it once again. No matter what appliance you are using in the house, electricity is the same. There is no difference in electricity. Even the bulbs, maybe one bulb is 100 watt, one bulb is 40 watt. It is not the defect of electricity. It is the defect of the bulb, the upadi. It is only 40 watts or whatever. And then the other one is 100 watts. So now that one is much more brighter than, is electricity becoming bright or this thing? In chapter 5 also, we saw the verse where he says, whether it is a Brahmin, a cow, a dog, elephant, or a dog eater, the one who has recognized himself to be Brahman, he sees the sameness. Okay, now understand the sameness. Okay, why? Because okay, the other example is, you have a pot of rice that you're cooking. Do you go on pinching every single grain of rice, or do you pinch only one grain and then you know that the whole pot is now cooked? Simple example I'm giving you, household example, which all of us have done. We are not pinching same idea here. I recognize myself to be that pure consciousness. Immediately, it's not like, okay, now let me think, which is the consciousness in my mother-in-law, who is there in my brother and my husband. No. It doesn't happen like that. At the same time, he comes to recognize that the whole entire, not only humans, animals, insects, spiders, trees, Brahmaji, consciousness in Brahmaji and consciousness in a blade of grass is one and the same. And that recognition comes when I recognize myself to be that pure consciousness, and it is immediate. There is no time delay in it. So that's why he says he sees the self abiding in all beings. Okay, beings are not only human beings. Bhuta, being, I've explained this also, it's not only humans. It is, being is anybody that is living. And not in here, being not only those who are living, those who are not living also, in that he sees also the existence principle. Consciousness is all pervading. So we cannot say that there is no consciousness, there is no consciousness in the computer. It is there partially as existence. Please remember that. That's why we pray to stones also, na, Hindus. Stone also we pray, tree also. Why? We are not praying the form. We are not praying to the form. We are praying to the existence principle behind it. And this is what happens to this yogi in the self. And then all beings he sees in the self. This is chapter 11. This will be elaborated in chapter 11, where Bhagwan shows him the Virat Roop. If you have any idea of Bhagavad Gita, even those who have not, I mean, most of you have studied chapter 11, in his own Virat Roop, in his vast expanse, he shows everything to Arjuna. So this is what he sees. He sees that the self is in all and everybody is in the self. That is what he sees. So everybody is in the self. Understand that. Let me give you the example of electricity again. Okay. So all the appliances are dependent on the electricity. Okay. But electricity is not dependent on them. So when he sees the self abiding in all beings, he recognizes that the microwave is working because of electricity. Computer is working because of electricity. That is the first part. Self abiding in all beings is recognizing that every single electric appliance in my home is being sustained by electricity. Okay. Now, and all beings in the self has to be understood as every instrument that I have, electric instrument, is dependent on electricity. Do you get this point? So it is dependent on electricity, which means what? And means what? Electricity is not dependent on them. They are dependent on electricity. So if I were to unplug all the electrical appliances in my condo, in my apartment, in my house, am I doing anything to electricity at all? Is electricity getting affected by, is it getting upset? Geez, you had 10, now I only have 1. What? I do have 0. Is electricity getting upset? No, no, because there is no dependency of electricity on the appliance. That is the difference between this. He sees the self in all. He recognizes that all appliances are acting because of electricity. So all beings can talk or move or do whatever that they're doing is because of the self, the pure self. And they are dependent on the self. The self is not dependent on them. This is the same thing Bhagavan will say in chapter 7. They are in me, I am not in them. They are dependent on me. They cannot survive without me, the beings. They cannot survive without me, but I'm independent. I can survive without any one of them. Electricity will survive no matter whether there are appliances or there are no appliances. Electricity will always be there. It's a very important point that needs to be understood. And I'm sure quite a few of you already know this. ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्ति भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ